Hi, welcome to the garden again, and we're continuing our journey into the numbers of 1 through 9, and then I'm going to do the other signs of the 12 other houses of the zodiac after that. But today we're starting with the 6th house, and the 6th house is symbolized by this, and what the 6th house looks like is work, health, duty. And when you have a lot of planets in that part, that's what you look to. That's where they look to. When an astrologer does your chart, they look at health indications from there. So if you have a lot of planets in your 6th house, you find that out. That's what's there. If you want to know the sign that's there, the Virgo is the sign that's in the 6th house of the zodiac, naturally, and it is for people who have energy around dutiful things, being humble and learning a great deal. They're very, very detailed oriented. That's a thing you always hear about Virgos. And I think it's pretty much true from the Virgos I know. I have a friend who's got a lot of Virgo on her chart, and she's the sort of person that files, she's not an attorney, but she works in the detail work of filing federal lawsuits, which are a pain and a lot of detail. Not something I do. I must not have a lot of Virgo. But anyway, the other thing that this is, Virgo and the 6th house are ruled by Mercury. And Mercury is what we think, what we say, what we know. It's communication. And Mercury is also, we've talked about earlier, some other signs, but it's a very, very interesting sign. It's one that is great if you have a lot of detail work to be done. Virgo is a great place to deal with it. 6th house. And the angel number for number 6 is don't worry, don't obsess about problems, because whenever you obsess, you lower your vibration and you can't achieve as much. So if you're feeling like that's going to happen to you, pray to the angels and let them handle it, because getting caught up in the details is not going to help you at all. Anyway, then we get to the number 6 within sacred geometry, and it means harmony. When I put together a grid and I see that 6 is predominant in the layout, it means it's to bring the energy together harmoniously. It's opportunities and it's love. 6 is love, and you'll see that portrayed in Tarot and other places. But basically, it means harmony, love, things going together cohesively. It's kind of a double of the 3. It's a double of the 3, but it is the reason it doubled from the 3 is it's like all that communication is starting to get people together. This is where it really coalesces and becomes a whole. And in the Tarot, the card 6 is the Lovers. And the Lovers in the original medieval deck was called Choice, not Lovers. But it came down to people making that choice. And I'll tell you what I used to always tell people about, if you want to understand the path of the Tarot. 1 is your life energy coming in, the Magician. 2 is your internal energy coming in, being the High Priestess. 3 is the feminine energy that nurtures you. That's the Empress. Then the 4th is how you present yourself to the outer world, and the sort of aggressive, more I'm out there doing it on my own sort of energy. That's the Emperor. And as you remember, the 5th card was the Hierophant, which is the people who lay down the rules. Okay. The reason this means choice, and this is what I used to explain to my students, is when I guaranteed you that the first kind of independent, really choice you made in your life, for the most part, was who you got that close to, who you became a lover with. And I guarantee you didn't call the Hierophant, you didn't call the Emperor, you didn't call the Empress, and it was just the High Priestess and the Magician on their own, doing their thing. So that's kind of, this is where we grow up in the Tarot. This is where we mature and become an individual. We start making our own choices. It has a lot to do with free will. Now, what do the minor arcana mean in the Tarot? Well, there's the 6 of Cups. Remember I said harmony, hearth and home, family. I'm terrible with this camera. Hearth and home, family. That's the 6 of Cups. So it follows very closely. There's also, if things are disharmonious and stressful, this is called the Bridge of Despair. And what she's doing is she's getting out of this situation as fast as she can. She's running across this bridge, And if you know, she's carrying a wand, which is the new part of her life that she's getting after going through all the stress and pressure. It's making decisions and growing and going on. This poor little dude, he's like me, he can't figure out where to put this card. He's got all the pieces, he's got all the stuff he needs to build what he needs to build, but he just hasn't figured the puzzle out quite yet. So he's not completely connected to everything. He's not totally harmonious. And so the new things he's going to build, he's not really sure exactly how to put it together. When you see that reversed in a reading, it means I figured it out. I'm done. I've got the answer. And the Six of Pentacles is someone who has received a lot of, is giving out and sharing, giving to other people. And a lot of cards, you'll see it's a guy standing over and he's sort of handing out coins to people. It's charity. It's giving things to others and sharing. And that's where the pentacles and the values. It's sharing your values, sharing what you have, being fair, being harmonious. So that's how the 6 works in tarot. Then we get to numerology. And in numerology, when I do numbers, I always tell people, if you want to do a quick note, by a 6, put hearth and home. It's your home card. It's your family card. It's healing. It's the embodiment of the heart. And then a lot of numerologists read it that way. It's the embodiment of how your heart functions and how it works. And it's a great life path to have. You'll be a very nurturing person and helping a lot of people and feeling very good about it, being very upfront and honest about it. And in the life path of gems, the Carnelian is the life path of gem for the number 6. And as you know, I've shown you carnelians before. They're beautiful red stones that are they smooth out beautifully. They're lovely tumbled stones, and they mean hearth and home and warmth and family. So 6 is a great number, but 6 is also the downside on a 6 is if you're in the Virgo mood and you're deciding to get into the details too much, you can stress the small stuff and miss the big picture. So that's the only warning about being a 6, but it's a fun place to be. It's a good place to be. And I think that pretty much sums up the aspects I have for the number 6. A couple notes about what's coming up. I'm going to next week, around about the 2nd of February, I'm going to be doing a side-by-side with Dorothy Morgan, who's the NH astrologer. She's part of my story of how I got to here. She was my first thing that showed me that my very first crystal grid was working. I run a drawing to get a free reading from her, and I didn't even know I was in the drawing. She just does that. If you go and you send into her website and sign up with your email, she pulls out the new emails and picks out a person, and she still does that. And I got that notice from her in the email the day after I had set my grid up. And I asked her, well, when did you make that choice? And she said, oh, yesterday afternoon. She made that choice about 2 hours after I set my grid up and made it go. So I started telling people, there's something going on here, because I don't usually win contests. So she's a lovely lady. She's going to come and explain about how to use the phases of the moon, which is, I've talked about the moon in my shows before. If you have a question or something about astrology, if you'd put them down in the comments, I'll try to talk to her a little bit about that. And I look forward to getting your comments and seeing where we go from there. I think it's really lovely to have a person, because like I told you, I studied astrology just enough to know that I'm dangerous if I try to interpret anything. And she's much better at that than I am. So I look forward to seeing you tomorrow, where we will be diving into 7, the spiritual number. Thank you for watching today. Bye-bye.